governor of New York to the director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act.
This is not only a New York story. In Washington, word that the Pentagon has been struck. A plane crashed into the Pentagon this morning. CNN's Chris Plant is in the nation's capital.
And speaking to people here at the Pentagon as they're being evacuated from the building, I am told by several people that there was, in fact, an explosion. I was told by one witness, an Air Force senior enlisted man, that he was outside when it occurred. He said that he saw a helicopter circle the building. He said that it appeared to be a U.S. military helicopter and that it disappeared behind the building where the helicopter landing zone is, and that he then saw a fireball go into the sky.
You see the pictures side by side of New York and Washington, billowing smoke. The collapse of the World Trade Center. 1010 Wins reporter Eileen LaPalmer is down in Lower Manhattan. We're going to try and get to her live now and see if she can give us any more information. Eileen, are you there?
Yeah, Judy, I'm here. Well, all I can tell you is, as you can imagine, absolute chaos. People were running, panicking just when the smoke and flames were billowing out. People were trying to head down south towards the World Trade Center when suddenly there was a large rumbling and the entire tower fell and collapsed to the ground. People came running north because of the smoke. It was billowing up Broadway. There's a big black cloud of smoke. You can't even see down Broadway from the vantage point of City Hall.
This is the story of a 9/11 eyewitness, Richard A. Siegel, who videotaped the World Trade Center from across the Hudson River in Hoboken. Rick was a pioneer in the field of Internet television webcasting and had aired over 5,000 hours of original programming through his own company Online TV as of September 11, 2001. He was a frequent visitor on business to both the North and South Towers and held security passes at the time of the tragedy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rick Siegel. This is about where I was on the day that the 9/11 tragedy occurred when the two towers were hit. I was in the shower. I was in the bed when I heard the first one, and I got the report and ran into the shower, got showered, and came down on my Zappy scooter with all my stuff and zoomed in here, set up my cameras on tripods so that I could watch with my binoculars, and started filming the Twin Towers as they were burning. Yeah. At least the building was in the frame, and the whole building, so I could get to smoke the building and what was happening. I was hoping you could see the plane out of it, but there was no plane to see out of that. And there was just a hole and black smoke. You just see it look like a cigar standing up on end with burning tip and black smoke. Which again, why black smoke? It's ready to go out. And then, yeah, it went on, and the building was just burning away, and it wasn't too exciting until all of a sudden it's disappearing, and there was no real sign. There was no sign that anything was that this was going to go down. It was all the black smoke. And the black smoke is really indicative that the fire's out, so you're waiting for all the sludge to go away and the fire departments to get up there and do their jobs, because buildings don't fall down like that. It was like the biggest shock, and no one, you know, that's talking about a shock to see a building fall down. Thank God. I mean, a big one. It's like they're designed not to fall down. They're designed not to blow over. And like they said about this, it was designed for a 707 to run into it. And it took it. Two big jets flew into both the buildings, and they didn't fall. They're saying they fell because they were on fire. That doesn't make sense.
Let's hear what some experts who appeared on television had to say.
The building was designed to have a fully loaded 707 crash into it. That was the largest plane at the time. I believe that the building probably could sustain multiple impacts of jetliners, because this structure is like the mosquito netting on your screen door, this intense grid, and the jet plane is just a pencil puncturing that screen netting. It really does nothing to the screen netting.
Firemen have reached the South Tower impact zone and reported by radio that the fire is under control.
Okay, 27 Alpha. Ready, come on over by us. Hey, right, 115. We got two isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. Where you know that? 78th floor, numerous 1045, call 1. Chief, what stand you in? South Tower, Adam. South Tower. 478. California. Numerous civilians. We have 2 engines up here. 10-4, we're on our way. 7 Hospital Lobby Command Post. Chief Palmer reports on the 78th floor, numerous 1045, code 1. We got isolated pockets of fire. We're going to need 2 hand lines up there, K.
While the brave firemen prepare to extinguish the isolated pockets of fire with 2 hose lines, the evildoers must move up the timetable. If the fires are put out, there will be no reason for the towers to fall. Rick saw what looked like a military helicopter rescue. What could those bright flashes be? Why did the bright flashes occur just before the collapse?
I'm watching in my binoculars, and I got in there, just the guy and the helicopter line, and all of a sudden the guy's out of my view, but you know, you think you moved or something, and I'm like, where is it? And I had to look, because from the angle, you only get a sliver of the second building. And I had to look, I'm like, is it there? And everybody's screaming, and the noise is starting to come, and it's, then I realized it was like this yellowish gray because of the powder and dust that had fallen underneath, and it still left colors. And this ominous color was there instead of a building, and there was, instead of the grayness of a building through smoke, it was light coming through. There was no more building there.
Now let's use freeze-frame analysis and take a closer look at those flashes. This west approach path is not visible to the pool camera angles shared by major networks broadcasting live.
Well, this really is a case of a situation that you thought couldn't get any worse, getting progressively worse.
Yeah.
First one plane crashing into the World Trade Center, then a second.
And when I was watching out there, helicopters were around it, it was up on the edge. Looked like he's dropping a line out, and underneath, these guys are hanging out the window. And the windows were basically in the building from here, from your knee, you know, up to about there. So to get an idea of what it would look like, and you can see with the binoculars, you can see the person, and people were jumping. It had to be hot to make that decision. And he's hanging out there.
And World Trade Center, then a second crashing into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
Unbelievable.
Word now that
in a single prop helicopter.
That a plane has crashed into.
And he looked like he's lowering a line.
It has been evacuated along with the west wing of the White House. The Treasury has been evacuated. The Capitol evacuated. The Sears Tower in Chicago.
It wasn't a news helicopter.
In Chicago has been evacuated. There was no threat of an attack against the Sears Tower, but they're obviously going to quit while they're ahead there. And all of this, the world...
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, the building fell. Are you there? The building fell.